Doghouse Racing League is proud to be sponsored by Shoney's. Shoney's is today's all-American kitchen, open daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shoney's guests can count on quality, delicious food along with warm, friendly service. Stop by one of the West Virginia locations to try their freshly prepared legendary breakfast bars. And don't forget to take home a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. Are you looking for sports merchandise for your favorite teams, apparel, jerseys, headwear, hard goods, and looking to be involved with NASCAR? Fanatics is your one-stop shop. Fanatics is partnered up with all major professional sports leagues, as well as hundreds of collegiates and pro teams. Join them now at Fanatics. And if you use the link down below in the description, you'll be able to help out the Doghouse Racing League. While using that link, all commissions go to the Doghouse Racing League, which helps fund prizes and goods for the drivers out on track. Thank you so much for Fanatics, and enjoy the show. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Thursday Night Racing on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Tonight, we bring you a brand new season for a brand new series for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We've had a couple of preview races. Last week, we had qualifying day. But tonight, it is the Group 6 200 at Daytona, the initial start of the 2024 Season 1, Race 1. About to begin here tonight. We had a qualifying day yesterday. Got to see drivers taking the front row of Adam Gardner and Nicholas Atwood as well. Got to see two fantastic duels for Adam Gardner. Got himself the win in Duel 1 and Jonathan Jennings winning in Duel 2. But tonight, it is all about the first race. Can you get into victory lane and start on the right foot for a brand new season? And again, we're happy to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And my name is Sam Dyer, and joining me up in the booth is going to be Zach Hall. Zach, it's been a fun couple of weeks getting to know these drivers, but it's finally time. Daytona is here.
Money time is here, Sam, as they would say. It's about to pay up, because Daytona is definitely the way you want to start your season off, with a bang, as they say. So I'm interested to see who can come out here and, take what they've learned from these speed weeks, so to say, here at Daytona, here at the Doghouse Racing League, and just really try to apply that. So who can take the knowledge they've learned and really show out tonight? That's going to be the huge question, because 80 laps, pretty straightforward strategy. I think tonight it's going to come down to who's really put out the fastest cars on the track and how their teamwork works out.
Yeah, how's that teamwork going to be coming together? Tonight's going to be a fun one, as the drivers, again, already did qualifying day last week. So coming in tonight, they just have practice, and they're going to be having their 80 laps ran here tonight. This evening going to be a fun one to watch. Going to be quick, and you do not want to miss out. As we head down to trackside, we got 2 minutes and 30 seconds left before the drivers get ready to race for 80 laps, 200 miles. It's going to be a fun one overall to watch, as you're watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, as it was presented by Group 6 and affiliated with Fanatics. Want to give a huge thank you to the major sponsors here for the Doghouse Racing League. For that is Shoney's. You saw the Shoney's commercial at the beginning, but again, go check out the West Virginia locations to try out some of the best food and dining at Shoney's. They've been around since 1947, and quality food for you to try. And also check out in the description for the Fanatics link, because all of commissions help out the Doghouse Racing League in all their leagues and drivers that race. And also title sponsors, one of the presented by sponsors, Group 6 and tonight's race sponsor, Group 6. Rev up your brand's potential with Group 6 at every turn of the Doghouse Racing League season. As your creative marketing powerhouse, we're here to fuel your success, accelerate your impact, and steer your brand towards victory. Group 6, where every race is an opportunity to outshine and outperform. Discover more at Group6inc.com. Zach, gotta say, this is gonna be a fun season. Again, we have been hyping up the fact of a brand new series and season. Next gen cars are here, but there's a lot of hype around some teams coming in tonight that we've got to keep our eyes on.
Yeah, definitely a few teams out there that made, I'd say, waves through that first set of speed weeks there, through those duels last week. So we really got to see personally the ones that stand out, and mostly in my mind is two teams that I think you're going to have to watch tonight is kind of having the drivers with the speed. In my opinion, it seems like what they brought, but it doesn't mean that other teams cannot make that up, of course. But I think that Twisted Axle team led by Adam Gardner, he won that heat race last week. Then also you're going to look to the Elite Southern Motorsports team where Jonathan Jennings won. So I think you're going to see a lot of teamwork between those individual teams to see if they can beat each other. But you never know at the end of the day. Daytona is always a wild one that is just got a twist and a turn right around the corner for these drivers. And personally, I don't think anybody could predict who's going to be in victory lane tonight just with how these races go, man.
We've got a lot of past winners here at Daytona, but this, again, is only the second time that this league has ever had Daytona as the opening race. The other time that it was the opening race was back in 2022 Season 1, where we got to see Justin McMahon get himself into victory lane. That was his first win. He went back-to-back the next season at winning at Daytona, trying to become the first driver to become a 3-time winner at Daytona. We'll see if that's potentially going to happen, because I know Justin McMahon, a very aggressive driver we saw last week, and we'll see if that can carry forward. But tonight, practice is done. Qualifying got finished up last week. It's time for us to take a look at our starting grid for tonight's race for the Group 6 200, the start of a brand new season. And top of the board, going to be Adam Gardner in the 56 after taking the pole. And then in second will be Nicholas Atwood in the 19. For himself, those top two drivers took the top row just based off qualifying last week. Then the second row was set based off of the dual wins, as Raymond Hammerman could actually come in third. He finished second in his dual one, as Gardner won dual one, but Jonathan Jennings won dual two, so he'll take that second row in fourth. Hunter Simpson going to be in fifth. Sixth will be Justin McMahon. Chris Leftwich going to be in seventh. Eighth is Kevin Brown. And Gary Clune, Rookie of the Year award winner in the 45, going to be starting in ninth. And Mike Leftwich going to be finishing out our top 10.
Just outside the top 10, starting in 11th, it's Andrew St. Cour. Alongside him in 12th will be the 14 of Mark Dumont. 13th position is going to be held by Michael Dow, with 14th being held by the 99 of Jonathan Smith. 15th is going to go to Michael Hayes, with 16th position being held by Gary Maydew. 17th is going to be the 6 of Kevin Thompson. 18th is going to be the 78 of Daniel Wilkerson. 19th is going to go to the 98 of Jamie Horn. And rounding out the top 20 is the 43 of Eric Anderson.
21st position, we find Nate Orlowski going to be in the 29th machine. 22nd place is the 10 of Steve Garber. 23rd is the 2 of Tony Martin. 24th is the 9 of Steven Bonomo. We got a fan favorite out there in the chat in the last couple of weeks. In 25th is the 81 of Chuck Cobb. And 26th is the 41 of Andy Cork. In 27th, we find Eddie Rivers. Then 28th position is the 7th of Gary Armajo. Going to be in that 7 machine, someone to watch out for, very aggressive. In 29th, the 4 of Bill Gentry. And finishing out our top 30 is Rich Leclerc.
Starting in 31st, it's going to be the 51 of Joe McKnight. Starting in 32nd, it's going to be the 42 of Leroy Kobolitz. 33rd is going to go to the 31 of Eric Warman. 34th is going to be Tyler Mollett. Last car in the field, 35th tonight, is going to be Nicholas Shell, as that's our 35 cars here tonight at Daytona.
35 drivers ready to take the green here this evening. It's going to be 80 laps in total. No fast repair, only 3 sets of tires in pit road to work with. And based off the fuel that we believe these drivers could have, this race could turn into a one-stop if we stay clean and green all the way through. We'll see if these drivers can stick it together, or will we find a mess? These next-gen cars just got revamped. They got new models. Those front ends and rear bumpers don't always like to align, so everyone's got to be playing a little bit of patience here at the beginning. As we wait for the pace car to pull off, it's time for a brand new season to begin for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. Into the restart zone, we are green for the Group 6 200 here at Daytona. Adam Gardner, as well as Nicholas Atwood, take the green down into turn number 1.
What a start from the bottom lane there. The 56 getting the huge shove from the 38 of Raymond as they head down into 1. Now we'll get to see, can that top side mount something up, as it looks like Atwood getting the surge from the 91 of Jennings. We'll see how strong the top side is here to start off this race.
Now are you going to be able to find find that speed. I know that a lot of drivers have also been noting inside lanes found a lot of power to work as it's a lot easier to stay in line. But outside row, there's always a chance of momentum. You get enough drivers willing to push one another. But right now, it's going to be Adam Gardner on the inside lane with that 38 of Raymond right behind them. They are working perfectly on that inside row. Off the exit turn 4 into the tri-oval. It's going to be Adam Gardner leading lap number 1 here tonight.
Great job by Adam Gardner just to get that lap led here to start off this event here tonight, as he's able to really solidify himself. And the one interesting thing we've seen throughout this is, a lot of times we talk about fixed setup racing. This is an open setup league, folks. That means these guys can go in here and work on these cars. There's over 62 options in the setup menu to change. So plenty of stuff for these guys to work on. And it's shown to be some different style racing, in my opinion, Sam, where you get to see this bottom be very strong, where we've seen the fixed style racing with this next gen car. Seems to be very top dominant. But here tonight, it looks like that bottom, once again, like the duels, showing strong.
Yeah, I mean, I threw out a survey to the drivers asking, what do they think about the setups? What are you looking for when you come into the season? A lot of drivers said, hey, we're looking for a somewhat loose car when you go to those 1.5 mile and shorter tracks. But these big behemoths of Daytona, Talladega, it's all about raw speed. We're trying to maximize as much as you can, and as well, try to make sure that engine's feeling a little bit comfortable. I think, Zach, that's going to be the part that's more interesting to watch out for, is because the fact that there's so much, you can change with an open setup league, is how much tape are drivers willing to put on, and are their engines going to hold on together? There's a little bit of a squabble deeper in the field.
Definitely some squabbles there deeper in the field as they keep it double file pretty much throughout the whole entire 35 cars here. But Sam, the actual interesting thing, when they brought this next gen car into action, they took away the option for tape. You have a set amount of tape that goes on that car, and that's just what it is. You cannot up it, you cannot down it. It's not even an option anymore, pretty much. So it's something that you don't worry about as much at these plate tracks, whereas in the past, that was a huge topic. How much tape could you get away with? Because you knew it was faster, but you could only push for a certain amount of time that you had limited. So it was really weighing those options here tonight. Everybody going to be in the same playing field, but that still comes down to the driver of managing that airflow in front of you. As you can see up ahead, not much air flowing through these race cars right now as it's stacked up double file all the way through.
Absolutely not, as we're riding on board with the 6 machine of Kevin Thompson. Last driver to get the pole before this season's Group 6 200 was Kevin Thompson, who found himself being up front getting that pole award this season, starting much deeper in the field, starting in 17th position, still in 17th. Not a lot of movement going on currently, Zach, with passes. There's a couple of drivers that are willing to make moves, but it looks like primarily the top 15 have been pretty stable at saying, let's just run in our own lanes, our own row, and we'll stay comfortable there.
It does seem to be that way. Nobody taking too many risks right now with looking to go 3 wide, and it's a good sign here. Everybody's showing some patience and trying to figure out what the race car is doing. But the one thing we are seeing, this inside lane not going very well right now. It's being led this top side by the 500 Simpson, who is looking to actually have some connection issues out front, which could cause a little bit of a problem for this top side. But at the same time, they are doing such a good job. There's almost 6 cars now clear of that bottom lane, and it's just kind of starting to show that maybe this top side is the way to go here early.
Hunter Simpson was one of those strong drivers, seeing the chain reaction, the huge checkup going on, in contact by the 2 and the 51. The 2 of Tony Martin and also the 51. Going to be Joe McKnight. McKnight, one of the bigger movers, but driver stuck to the inside. That's Eric Anderson, who gets sent to the apron. With that chain reaction, we were seeing those bumps of drivers fading back in. That is a scary spot for drivers deeper in the field when you're not expecting those chain reactions to happen.
It happens so fast, Sam. It really does. You've seen, like you said, the chain reaction. It's just an accordion effect. It goes from the front of the line all the way to the very end of the line, and sometimes it gets worse as it goes farther down the line. So it really gets on each driver more progressively on them to be able to see it coming. And that's just the sixth sense of being a driver, in my opinion. Just knowing when there's those situations going to happen, because, again, the vision not very strong here when you're stacked up behind these very tall, wide cars that go down the straightaway. You kind of get blocked out, and you kind of just got to go off the feel of what's going on around you. So great job by everybody to make it through that, as we did have, like you said, a few lose the pack. And it looks like we're coming by to put the 29 here a lap down here early in the race. So Nate going to have to make up that here already.
Orlowski in the 29. Nate Orlowski gonna go a lap down, start on pit road, and just showing the major speed. It only took 7 laps, Zach, for the field to drive around and catch up and put a driver a lap down just by themselves. That is crazy to see the major speed difference. That's over 3 to 5 seconds difference from being in a pack. It is as large as we see this front group of 21 drivers compared to just driving by yourself.
It is mind-blowing. Crazy that they've caught a lap car that fast. It just shows you, again, there's nothing different with the cars when they're in a pack. It's just, again, that aerodynamics, the breaking of a hole in the air, causing less drag, being formed. That's what we call the draft, folks. And you get to see it, the speeds pick up, you push the car ahead of you. It's really a magnificent part of racing that really only NASCAR, in my opinion, has. And, well, I guess you could say IndyCar too, but there's definitely multi forms of drafting out there that use this, but this is the pack style racing that you don't really get in many motorsports.
Yeah, the oval racing style of getting in line, working as one. But honestly, when you get in line and see those accordion effects line up, it is spooky at times, and drivers trying to find openings to not have to slow down or check up, which is giving openings for the drivers up front. We're starting to see some new drivers taking the reins up front. It's going to be Gary Clune and as well Andrew St. Cours, but Jonathan Jennings, winner of duel number 2, the 91, not waiting for anybody, just drops down, finds an opening to lead a lane, and wants some help by that 38 machine.
Well, I'll tell you what, he talked about it in his interview last week in victory lane. Jonathan Jennings, after winning his duel, he talked about he likes to be up front of the play tracks, being aggressive and going for the lead. He feels like that's the safest place. Well, you can see right here, he's using it to good advantage. That 38 with the amazing push through 1 and 2 is going to pull him alongside those leaders of the 45 of Gary Clune and the 12 of Andrew St. Cours. But look down the back straightaway, that outside, just so much momentum once they get hooked up.
And the big thing that happened there was a huge gap between the second car in the line on the inside to the third car in line. That gap and that huge bubble, you need to be a little bit more compact, allow the draft to kind of continue pushing the momentum forward. A lot more drivers that were compact on the high side, they're able to continue with that momentum and continue to stay up front. Gary Clune and Andrew St. Cours just looking great currently at this time. And Andrew in that 12th, going to be one of the favorites to watch out for. Winner of the last Daytona race back in 2023 season 2, and as well winner of the fundraising race that they had a few weeks ago, almost a month ago it feels like, for that 12 machine. Found himself in a victory lane, knows how to get it done, but currently going to be the pusher at this time. And with these next gen cars, Zach, and any of the cars being the pusher, a unique position that these drivers have to be in.
Very, very unique, because you almost see the tandem style drafting that you used to have back in the early 2000s and late 2000s of the COT era of NASCAR. But at the same time, like you talked about before with that third car is still dependent. You can lock bumpers with that car ahead of you, but if you don't have a third car to kind of push that bubble behind you, it does not make things go forward. And you're going to see here this inside lane with 3 cars now stacked up. I think they're going to have a better chance down this back straightaway, but not too locked up right now. And again, don't have the 4th car with you. So it just shows you having those cars stacked up in line all within, just a bumper, right on the back of each other. It really helps the momentum of each car inch ahead of them. So those numbers can be critical factors, but you can definitely be very aggressive with the pushing in these cars.
You certainly can, and finding friends when you're wanting to be up front, or drivers at least you can trust. We're starting to see as Jonathan Jennings, Hunter Simpson, that was a dynamic duo that we saw during heat duel number 2 a week ago. Working this inside row, but this was something that we didn't really see a lot during the duels last week. Zach, that outside lane really looking a lot more compact. I think the drivers are trusting who they're working with up front this go around compared to last week, where it looked like it was a lot more inside row dominant.
It really is crazy to see the difference, and it's starting to show that just maybe this next gen car definitely likes that higher momentum up top, and it's just being the way to go right now. It's definitely been the easier place to keep the momentum up, so to say. Is every now and then they'll have a little checkup and stack up that allows that inside line to get back up here, but that inside line just has to do so much work to get all the way to that lead. That I like where Gary Clune's sitting right now, because just really no pressure right now with his team and Andrew St. Cours behind him and Adam Gardner. This is twisted axle to it.
They are in line and making things work currently on the inside as you guys are right on board the leader for a quick second there. Certainly comfortability is the big factor for those drivers that are up front. Being the leader, you got a little bit fresh air, you're just focused on running a smooth lane, but the drivers that are in the middle of the pack feeling a little bit more chaos for themselves. And I want to take a look at one of the drivers really stuck in the middle, and that's the 8 machine of Chris Leftwich. Caught in a lot of messes back in that 13th position, kind of in the thick of things right now. The 8 really trying to make his moves forward, but kind of stuck and trapped at this moment on the inside row and also being boxed into the outside.
Well, folks, you want to see what rush hour traffic feels like at Daytona? This is what it's like right here on board with the 8 of Chris Leftwich. And it really is difficult. You see there is gaps, there's openings. Yeah, he can try to go stick his nose right in the middle of that track, right where the 63 is kind of doing himself. But if you don't have the help, they call the middle the sucker hole for a reason, because you just go straight to the back. You get sucked to the back of the field, and from there you lose all the track position that you once were trying to gain. So Leftwich trying to be patient and not, push the middle. He's just got to find those gaps to be able to get up here. Now he's going to look to jump up high here. Now he's going to be behind the 91 Jonathan Jennings. Also, Hunter Simpson is those elite Southern Motorsports cars starting to line up.
Starting to see that whole entire inside row kind of disappear and dissipate as the outside lane is where everyone's starting to move and taking track position. Going to be key as everyone has just lost all trust of the inside lane. It is gone and dusted in a quick second. 16 laps in, and the field deciding it is time for us to just calm down, get in lane, get in a single row, which for some is a comfortable zone to be. Others, maybe they want to get a little bit more racy. I think the tendencies drivers have, it's always fun to watch in the super speedway, just because you've got drivers like we talked about. Jonathan Jennings feels a lot more comfortable being up front. Other drivers like the patient route. I know even for myself, I'm more of that patient driver, wants to settle in, take a break. I think the second pack that's finally caught up to this lead group, or about to here shortly, I think that's going to be a big help for them is, for the drivers who are staying patient, they're going to continue on with the patience route and at least knowing they're catching up ever so slightly for the drivers back in 21st position of Richard Leclerc.
That's exactly right. Richard Leclerc and these guys trying to close into that group up there and look them get single file like they were. That's not helping them too much, but again, as we say that and we watch the second group, the front group goes back kind of double file. So this group here, I think still plenty of time for them to gain back up that time. It's only about 2 seconds difference. So they should be getting a little bit of a toe off that front group. They should just slowly be able to gain on them. They can just stick together and not race. That's the toughest thing when you get back in these situations as a driver. You get people who are impatient, maybe feel like there's cars that are holding the line up. And then they'll go to the outside and try to get to the front of the line and maybe lead it. And then you just start racing. You start losing valuable time that you just cannot give up. And it's so easy to do. But it looks like everybody back here pretty much on the same page looking to get single file.
Single file, and let's get moving. It's a real strong top group of drivers that are in that second pack, leading with Richard Leclerc, as well as Wilkerson, Cobb, and as well Tyler Millette up there. Those are some drivers that looked very strong during the duels, and they're hoping for that strength to carry forward as we look again up front, some drivers that are making their way forward. And I know for our producer Robert Moyer, it's always nice to see, and also for you, Zaga, different names that we get to learn, but old faces as well sometimes pop up. That's where we find ourselves in the 63 machine.
That would do. Gary Maydew there, one of our producer's old friends. Definitely really cool to see how far back, sometimes sim racing can go. So that is awesome to see. His old big moves being made. It was like that's Justin McMahon in the 24. He was jumping down, trying to jump down to the bottom, and he could not get clear of that 22 of Michael Hayes. And now, like I said, stuck in the sucker hole of the middle, and he's going to be going backwards.
And Justin McMahon getting a little bit of practice of racing at Daytona, was part of for that Podium 500 heat races. He was part of that grouping of drivers that have been getting practice. I know a lot of drivers when it comes to January, February, it's the time to practice at Daytona. So a lot of leagues are getting set up. NASCAR's making their return back for the Daytona 500. So drivers ultimately want to get as much practice in, and I know for others, it is all about how aggressive can you be early on. And even with all that practice, you get into the actual race, And Zach, the first half of a race, so much knowledge you have to take in of what is the car really feeling when you're with a pack like you are right now.
I completely agree with you, Sam. It's personally the first half of the race, especially these late races. The thing you try to do, limit mistakes so you don't lose time, first off. Like that second pack is done, they continue also. Make sure to note that they continue to still lose time to this front group here. But you just gotta make sure you get through this first half, no mistakes, and learn what you can. See what you can do, what positions you need to put yourself in for, what kind of pushes are the right places to be, and just knowing the timing. Because when it comes down to the end of this race, you're going to want to know all those things so you can have a surefire bet to go out there and defend that for that lead, especially if you're Kerry Clune up there up front with his Twisted Axle teammates. I must know all inside the top 5. So all 5 of those cars right there lined up on that top side. That's showing how strong they were. Is now we're going to look at even the air temp or the weather here, Sam. And this is the one thing I noted: 8-mile-an-hour wind. I've seen it climb as much up to 10 and drop down to about 6. You know, we talk a lot of times about that track temperature and the track ambient, you know, with 75 degrees, for the air temperature and the 93 on track. We don't talk about that too much at the super speedways. It does have an effect, but I think more or less than anything, it's that wind. When you're going upwards of 200 mile an hour and in these packs with all this turbulent air, that wind can be very dicey.
Yeah, that wind is going in a diagonal cross, going from the back stretch to the front stretch, and it is not a kind angle that these drivers are dealing with. Really going to influence coming off the exit of the corner, especially off the exit of turn 2. It's going to really want to push the car to go to the inside. On the exit of turn 4, going to want to push the cars up to the top. So drivers get a little bit of sense of how this track is feeling, but that wind going to be a big factor. Also, the track temp going to be in the mid-90s, and with the track temp being around that range and without tire wear, usually not something that we talk about in the past, but with this next-gen car, tire wear sometimes can become a factor if you're making a lot of big moves of sliding to the top, to the inside, and not really thinking about the movements that you're making.
It definitely can have a huge effect, and in my opinion, even more on the open setup side of things. You know, that fixed setup usually tends to be a little bit more on the conservative side when it comes to stability. And the way you usually get speed at Daytona is trimming these cars out, trying to get as least amount of drag on them as possible. When you do that, you take away downforce. You take away the grip that the car is formulating that holds you on the track. And you're going to fight stability issues. As it looks right here, we got some issues right there. There's a car in the wall. I think that's the 5 of Hunter Simpson. He'll be able to hold on to it. It looks like he should be able to hold on to that draft sim, so that's good enough for him at least. But definitely don't want to get into that wall too many times to hurt that right side and hurt your aerodynamics, as they would say. But definitely a place where I think tires could become a factor with open setups, man. These cars are a lot more on edge, in my opinion, with the open setup side of things, just trying to get the most speed out.
Yeah, trying to get the most speed out of them with that contact in the wall. Like Hunter Simpson just following in the footsteps of Jamie Horn, and Horn got very close to the wall. Simpson kind of got into the wall. And I think that's something that when you're driving on the outside lane, it's always interesting because we saw when we were in the pit earlier of the 8 machine, and seeing how the visibility is so low compared to straightaways through the corners, you also can sometimes lose that visibility to where the outside wall is if you're not careful, and very easy to make that simple mistake. Right on board 4, Phil Gentry, and Gentry has been very good when it comes to qualifying up front, but also has found himself in a victory lane at Daytona. Was the very inaugural Daytona winner back in the summer shootout, season 1. Hoping to maybe get back to victory lane here in 2024. That was only back in 2021 when he got that win here at Daytona.
I'll tell you one thing he's happy about is he's up in this pack, because a lot of his teammates there from that Loud Pedal Racing team is in that second pack, losing time to his front group. So it's very, very tough to see if you're one of those teammates to Bill Gentry. But checking out the 33 here. So it looks like, you know, right now just holding on to the back of this pack, and that's really all you can kind of do, you know, in these moments, is just get in the middle and kind of hold on for right now, because we're 26 laps in. It looks like we've got somewhat of a green phase. We could very well possibly get to those green flag pit stops, and I think those will start to happen is anywhere close to around 40 to a little bit after that. But as I say that, they're wrecking.
And it's going to be Horn spun up into the grass, back up into the wall. More contact for drivers. Gentry's involved, and many more drivers piling in late. The second pack all trying to slow down. And in an instant, it goes from potential green flag pit stops to our first caution of the day popping up, and there are multiple drivers with required damage. They're going to have to go into pit road, but big contact for Tyler Horn as well. Required damage for Bill Gentry, Chris Leftwich, and going to be Mark Dumont have to go into pit road. And Zach, Trioval, one of the more difficult places on the track, we find the troublesome spot at.
That we do is you're going to see the 98 and the 38 here. These are the two prime drivers involved in this. The 98 is going to look how close he gets to the wall. He gets almost up into the wall. 30 gets a little down the racetrack, and as they come off the corner, that 38 is going to get up into the quarter panel of that 98, kind of spin them down the racetrack, and from there, the cars below really nowhere to go for that 14, I believe. The 8 of Chris Leftwich, who caught a major amount of that. Just some heavy hits, and gotta say huge shout out to the second pack that was about 3-4 seconds back. They did an excellent job of all just getting slowed down and not causing more havoc than what could have been.
Recognizing the wreck and recognizing let's get out of the way. As we take another look at this incident, I know after this slight contact of the 38 to the 98, it was the 14 of Mark Dumont that gets sent back up into the field. That is some hard contact to watch out for, but it's just a simple clip to that rear end, and away goes Horn, and then it's going to be seeing driver come back up onto the track of Dumont, clobbering into Chris Leftwich, who also collects Gentry, and you just hate to see that for some drivers piling in late. Also, the 5 machine, that's going to be Hunter Simpson, one of the stronger drivers up front. Hard contact and damage repair needed for the 5 machine.
Definitely tough for these drivers who got this major damage already to start this event. And remember, no fast repairs, nothing other than what the pit crew can do here to fix your cars is what they can do, folks. So we'll see how they can get it done. But it'll be definitely a lot of work for a lot of those drivers with that, especially the required damage flags here. We're going to get a look here with Chris Leftwich. And we talked about Leftwich, just unfortunate events for him, Tim. Well, this one's going to continue for him because really nothing he could have done there. Just unfortunate with the 14 getting hit and coming back up that track. The 8, nowhere to go, head first to that wall.
Yeah, it gave the contact to the driver in front of him, and it was just trying to woo both the drivers to get by that incident, and just was not able to, as multiple drivers into pit road get service done for themselves. And for some drivers, luckily they were able to get themselves back onto the lead lap. That's going to be Nate Orlowski, who found himself being the only driver 1 lap down and able to avoid that contact. So we'll be back on the lead lap. But I know for Eric Anderson and Leroy Kolitz, they were both in a spot where they felt like they could have been going a lap down if we had stayed green for another 5 more laps. Instead, they'll be able to come into pit road, get service done, and back out on track for this next restart.
That is a huge caution for the race for sure, Sam. Going a lap down at Daytona, not good, folks. It is tough to get those laps back. So if you can go ahead and hold on to that lead lap, that's definitely something you want to do when you get to that first caution. As now with this, Sam, this has changed up the strategy a little bit. It's still, we still need 1 stop to make this race still, but it could possibly be the timing of that stop that makes or breaks a lot of this race. That is where this is going to be interesting, because right now coming by the complete lap 29 of this event here, so we're going to have 71 laps. Or sorry, not 71, as I was thinking of a 100 lap race there. We're going to have much less laps for this, but still a 1 stop. I don't think they can make it 50 full laps on a tank. Fuel is, we're wrecking under yellow.
Oh no, it's going to be Kevin Brown. Issues for the 33. And an odd scenario. You don't expect to see a driver, and got spooked by, looked like Maydew. Found himself slamming on the brakes, and the 33 made an evasive maneuver to get around and finds himself with Kevin Brown into the inside wall. That is a bizarre incident that just happened.
Very bizarre, especially for Maydew there. Like, I don't know. It just seemed like the brakes all of a sudden just locked up for him. So, and didn't really have nothing he needed to stop for. So, Unfortunate for the 33 is that was a huge slide down the inside of the track there for him. And could have been very, very bad.
It very much could have, but luckily it was right before pit entry, so able to come into pit road, get some slight repairs, and now back out on track. He's got Kevin Brown just losing all that track position. You hate to see that for the 33 machine. Still in pit road, getting damage repair done. Chris Leftwich, Mark Dumont, and Bill Gentry, who are involved in that wreck. Hunter Simpson able to get back on track, but currently one lap down is the 5 machine. As thank you so much to everyone that's joining with us. The first race of the season for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series here at Daytona. Thank you so much for joining with us. We appreciate everyone that's in the chat, chatting away. As these drivers up front, it's going to be Adam Gardner, Andrew St. Gore, and as well, going to be Nicholas Atwood, your top 3. To get back to rolling action. First caution of the day in the books, but the drivers know we have a chance of many more. Expecting one more stop here tonight as the fuel windows around 35 to 40 laps. It matters if you're the lead driver or someone who's in the draft on the amount of fuel and laps you can carry. But this next restart could be critical on getting yourself up front. And a massive time to have a yellow flag that allowed some drivers to get back into the mix, as we're back to a total of 31 drivers on the lead lap in this front row, in this front pack, and ready to get back to green flag racing here for the Group 6 200 at Daytona. And it's all Adam Gardner up front. Massive launch for the 56.
Very interesting strategy to jump out like that for the 56. I mean, he does have, again, his teammates here, and all of them located in the top 6 positions other than the 38, Lorraine in command. But it looks like that's going to still work out here with even getting that jump. Luckily, knows he's got drivers that are not going to pull out on there and use that run up to him to really, utilize it.
As drivers currently inside rows looking to be the strong place to be. One of the gaps as everyone else trying to figure out, all right, how do we want to tackle this next section of this race as we're closing in on halfway. Field knows it's just going to get building up. Who's going to be more jittery on these big moves? Who's willing to be patient? And right now, everyone moving up, don't want to be on that inside row. And that was such a clean shift, Zach. Everyone went from the inside to the outside, just in perfect sequence there.
It really was, and that shows you teamwork, folks. Those 5 are communicating perfectly, and that's what's going to equate to a lot of good things. But we just had a major moment there in the back of the pack. I don't know if you call that the wrecking now.
It's the 17th spun around, and many of others piling in late, but luckily able to drive around. It looks to be some frustration mounting for Richards, Leclerc, who gets involved in that one. Tyler Millette also a little frustrated with the incident. And shocking to see some of those drivers in the 51, Joe McKnight, caught up as an innocent victim at the end of this incident.
See right here to the middle 1 and 2 on this replay, just beating and banging, and then the 17, I believe that's the 33 of Kevin Brown. They make contact coming off of 2, and that sends the 17 across the racetrack. And like you said, there's the 51 of Joe McKnight. Really nowhere for him to go for that, and just one of those incidents that happens a little bit farther back, and just almost like you're a ping pong ball, getting bounced around there in the middle. And that's why going 3 wide here is that difficult. It's just very tough to keep that car stable.
Joe McKnight slowing down, trying to get out of the way, expecting drivers to stay where they're at, and then an emergency J-turn by the 17. It's the 51, and adding up the total of drivers involved with that wreck, as sadly, Zach just got the report after that contact. Joe McKnight, who should have been not involved in that wreck, required damage for the 51. He has to go to pit road.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. It must have just hit in the wrong spot, Sam, for him. That's it, because the car does not really even look the most terrible, in my opinion. But I think it just hit perfectly on the right front fender, or the right front tire. And as you can see, look at the tire. It's just turned, it's pointing inward. So that's not a good sign. And that's not going to be producing much speed.
No, and with the required damage flag, the drivers will be given the flag of a black flag with an orange circle in the middle. That is a required damage. You are forced to come into pit road, as drivers can have 2 different damage numbers given to them. They have optional, which you can come in. It's not, are forced to get that damage repaired or required. Required, you have to come into pit road and get that damage done. That required damage can be anywhere from 15 seconds to 45 minutes. And hopefully for Joe McKnight to get back out there quickly, to get back out on track, as believe that Mark Dumont and Bill Gentry have just finally got done with their required damage. They should be back out on track, but they are still 6 laps down as well, with Chris Leftwich, who is 6 laps down currently. Up front, it is Adam Gardner and Andrew St. Cours that are up front in a comfortable position. You could say, Zach, those lead positions, always a pleasure to be in, as they are just waiting to get back to green flag racing.
No doubt. Being out front here in Daytona, definitely a good feeling, but I know one thing you can add to that feeling to increase Adam Gardner's mood is he's got 4 teammates right behind him. I mean, he's got Andrew St. Cours, Nicholas Atwood, Gary Kloon, and Kevin Thompson, all of them twisted axle cars. And, Daytona, we talk about it all the time. Yes, it is important for the driver to pull off moves and put yourself in those right positions, but at the end of the day, it a lot of times comes down to teamwork, and if you can have all 5 teammates there, this is going to be a tough crew to beat.
They certainly look to be a tough crew to beat, and it's always nice, like I said, to have those numbers to work with. Well, we want to talk about some amazing sponsors that are helping out here in the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, and as well just Shoney's leagues in general. One of the major sponsors that Doghouse Racing League is proud to be sponsored by is Shoney's. Shoney's is today's all-American kitchen, open daily for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Shoney's guests can count on quality, delicious food along with warm, friendly service. Stop by one of the West Virginia locations and try out their freshly prepared legendary breakfast bars. And don't forget to take home a whole strawberry pie. Shoney's, delicious food and friendly service since 1947. And as well, in affiliation with Fanatics. Doghouse Racing League gets commissions when you purchase items through the link in the description from Fanatics. Fanatics is one of the leading companies that can give you your favorite team's apparel, jerseys, headwear, and hard goods. They are proud to be also working with great partners of all major league sports teams, the NFL, MLB, NBA, NHL, NASCAR, MLS, and the PGA, as well as connected with hundreds of collegiate teams and also with some of the biggest global soccer clubs. Go get your purchases from Fanatic, and remember to use the link down in the description and help out the commissions so Doghouse Racing League can help fund the league and help out with prizes to the drivers. And as well, Group 6. Rev up your brand's potential with Group 6 at every turn of the Doghouse Racing season. As your creative marketing powerhouse, we're here to fuel up your success, accelerate your impact, and steer your brand towards victory. Group 6, where every race is an opportunity to outshine and outperform. Discover more at Group6inc.com. All right, Zach. Well, sponsors are out of the way, and now we're almost to halfway. It is about to be crunch time. What are you expecting for these drivers as we're about to go green?
Well, like you said, it's getting down to crunch time, Sam, and with that caution, I wonder how much closer that pushes them to possibly being able to make it on fuel with, just a one stop here. So, with no stop. So it's going to be interesting, but let's see how the aggression level picks up as we've had a few yellows here.
A few yellows popped out, drivers willing to go for some big moves, some impatient. But it's time for us to get back to green flag racing. The Group 6 200 is back underway. A couple of misshifts in the middle of the field, but up front, it's going to be a clean start for our top 7, 8 drivers. Everyone else pretty scattered. And Zach, this looks like an opening for most of the field to set up for a massive run on the teammates up front.
This is their chance, Sam. All this spread out distance here between all of these cars. Look at the gaps that have formed from this restart. Once we start to get grouped up with these front few cars here, these cars on the outside, these cars on the bottom, they're going to have massive runs coming off of 4 going into 1, and we could see definitely some interesting movement here in the next few laps.
As the speeds ramp up, drivers clocking into fifth gear, it's time for the maximum potentials of what these drivers can put on speed in big blocks, big moves. Everyone's shimmying high, low, and trying to take every position possible. And already going to be going back to two wide racing from third on back. As that huge momentum that was building up, the teammates are trying their best to hold everyone back. And they've got to say, great job by Adam Gardner and the rest of the crew to continue to just pick the line where they feel like the momentum's really coming from.
This momentum is so critical, man. It really is. Just timing which lane to pick. I mean, we've seen the outside lane be dominant tonight, but at any point, that bottom lane could be your opportunity to go get up front in this race. Now let's see what happens here. It looks like all five, once again, once they're clear, had the decision. They're going to pull up to the top side, and Twisted Axle going to take a good strong hold on that outside.
Good strong hold, and currently this lead pack going to have 23 drivers in this grouping. There's then a second group being led by Jonathan Jennings, Daniel Wilkerson, and Justin McMahon. That is three powerhouse drivers that are really going to be strong once they get that grouped up. But right now, Zach, they're backing off. I think a lot of recognition of this race is not over, and maybe a sense that there could be more big wrecks up front to watch out for.
It really could be a wrecker right around the next corner, man. I'm telling you, this place does not know how to forgive, especially, and it doesn't forget either, that's for sure. So these drivers are going to have to make sure, if they want to make sure to get to the end of this race, they got to be cautious still. They can't go out here and risk everything, but they know at the same time that Twisted Axle team, if they just let them ride out front, it's going to be hard to formulate something to go around them late in this race. If I'm Adam Gardner, I feel amazing sitting here with 14 minutes, like I said earlier.
Starting to see a big cluster of drivers in the middle of this front pack that have been advancing forward ever so slightly. 10+ positions have been gained from where they qualified, being led by Andy Cork in 11th place. Also, you have Steven Bonomo up 11 positions. Leroy Koblitz, who's our biggest mover right now, up 20 positions. Same with Eric Warman in 13th position. That group of drivers have been trying to move up as a core, and I gotta say, Zach, they've done a great job moving up. It is constant, staying patient, grabbing every position you can, and recognizing it's more of a marathon than a sprint that we're dealing with here as we just cracked to the halfway zone of tonight's race.
Exactly. We've just got to the halfway point, and right now we've seen it's very easy to end up out of this race and have required damage to sit on pit road for a while. So 31 cars on the lead lap. It looks like 29 in our, there's 23 cars in our lead pack with about a second pack forming up with about 7 to 8 other cars. So 31 cars still with a chance, Sam, but definitely a few out there that are looking around right now.
There certainly are, as they continue to see the teammates up front dominating that outside lane. Everyone else staying 2 by 2 from 6th on back. The field in a zone where they're thinking maybe pit stop. You make the pit stop here, or do you wait until you're further on in the race and fuel's maybe a little bit closer to empty? A lot of decisions gonna have to be made, but as we hit the halfway zone, we're gonna take a quick commercial break. When we come back, more racing action here at Daytona as you are watching the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series for the Group 6 200 at Daytona. It's been a good one. Here's your top 5 currently. Adam Gardner in first, Andrew St. Cyr in second, Gary Clune in third, and it's also going to be Nicholas Wood in fourth. Kevin Dobson's looking quick. We'll see if the 6 is going to make any big moves, but we'll be back right after these quick commercial breaks. 5 wide behind for fifth.
Oh my, the 5 wide here, this ain't gonna work. They make it last, bumping and banging to the end. They're beating Vega for the lead. Sora still with the shot here, coming off a 4. That's it.
It's bottom line, here it comes. Oh no, Carter gets wrecked. It's gonna be that Nick Crawford. The 74 gets through somehow, and they just completely demolish one another. Trinity diving down low, drifting up, trying to be the stealer. Here he comes, Zach Carter. He does it. He steals it.
But he somehow drove it into the corner to wreck him.
Oh, they wrecked. They wrecked each other. The top two bounced into one another. Just too much of side drifting off of, and they got to be careful. Oh no, the 4 demolishes in the 28. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As drivers getting a little bit mixy. Hold on, boys, as they have an outside, getting too close to the outside wall. Little bit of chain reaction building up. They hold steady as the 38 machine has a quick scare. The field holds now, but they were for a second there, looking like we were just going to stay smooth and everyone was just going to stay in line. Instead, breaks up that back half of the pack, and now everyone needs to mount up their momentum once again. But welcome back to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We're giving you coverage of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, first race of the season for 2024 Season 1. As drivers in the lead pack start to close in on some lap traffic, they'll all duck down low. For the majority of the front runners, slight 3 wide as the 4 of Bill Gentry back out on track after getting some major repairs done after being involved in our first caution of the night. And the 4 going to be now going 8 laps down. We also have Mark Dumont 6 laps down, and Nate Olskowitz going to be down 1 lap for the 29 machine. Chris Leftwich, the only driver that's called an unofficial night here this evening, as we're closing in on 30 laps to go on tonight's race. It has been all Adam Gardner up front, and his 56 machine, winner of Duel 1, took the pole and has just been the dominator for the last 20 to 25 laps, and feeling comfortable up front with some teamwork right behind him. But it's been a pleasure to have everyone join us here in the chat and watching here this evening. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is Zach Hall. And Zach, this race has been looking pretty much, I would say, in some fashions, what we expected once the teammates got together.
It really has been. I really watched some of this practice, and it just seems like the twisted axle cars just have a little bit extra in the bag when it comes to that speed. And when you can have those cars all, that fast, it just makes everybody that much easier to work together and make things happen. So definitely cool to see how they've worked things out, and I want to see how they can transition that to a track, other tracks. Will this be a common thing where we see these twisted axle guys really hit the track each week, or some people just have a knack for super speedway setups? It really is a completely different beast. It takes a whole different style of throwing stuff at the car. So sometimes certain people, that's just their knack, and maybe that's what they've found. We'll have to see how the other teams hit back throughout the next weeks. But again, nothing's over yet, as we're just going to be coming to 30 to go next time by. Still plenty of time left here, and possibly even a pit stop. So we'll get to see maybe some shaking up due to that.
It's not going to be the key thing to watch out for, because when do you make that stop? These drivers are closing in the next 5 laps to basically an equal distance from the last time they came into pit road to when the race would conclude. Drivers might think about splitting this last stint into a 25 lap run, or do you run it to empty and bank on a caution flag? With how big this track is and how fast these drivers are running, you actually can find yourself going a lap down. So I think there's a risk there of coming into pit road if the field's just driving too fast. But it's always an interesting call. But we were seeing these drivers, who's in the back to watch out for, because we've seen some drivers move forward. Some of the biggest movers so far, 6th place runner leading the inside row is Eric Gorman, up 27, 26 positions from where he started. But you look deeper in the field, and there's drivers that we know can be up front. I mean, Jonathan Jennings in the 91, Daniel Wilkerson, Justin McMahon. Those are drivers that we know can be top, very dominant drivers up front. have gone with the more patient approach after showing their speed those first 10 laps.
Very, very interesting to see that approach from these drivers. And the thing that I look at for them, Sam, they are on a different strategy here. They only have 17 laps right now on their stint. Sorry, now they'll be 18. So they topped off on fuel. So they're in a much, much better situation here to possibly make this race. And I think that's why you're seeing them hang back here a little bit, seeing those gaps. They're probably not even riding full throttle right now. I wouldn't be surprised if Mr. Jennings is here riding about 75, 50% throttle, just trying to stay hooked up to the draft. So this is an interesting strategy moving forward. I think we might have some cool strategy here.
Oh no, we're going to see the big one potentially, and it is drivers in the lead pack collecting into one another to keeps on colliding. More drivers piling in late, and it goes from bad to worse, and throw all the strategy away as more drivers collected. And it is just one of those things, Zach. Talk about potentials of strategies, and a caution flag comes out.
Oh, man. We love the jinxie here, man. I tell you what, we talk about the strategy, and it is going to be thrown out the window the next minute. But, yeah, that right there, personally, Sam, saw that all happening here. We're going to get to see another replay. Get to see the replay of it here in the next few moments. But I thought that was going to be a lot bigger than it was. It was a big wreck, but it looked at the moment to be a field taker outer. But it seems like majority of the people did a pretty good job of making it or getting minor damage getting through it. It looks like this started in that very first car in the front line. I'm not sure if you know the number of that car,
It was
Sam.
the 31 of Eric Warman gets caught up with the majority of the wreck, but he was contact between the 31 and the 9 of Steven Bonomo. But it was after that contact, 31 goes back up into the field, and that collected a lot of drivers in that incident. But you're going to see here, Steven Bonomo just dropped down in front of the 31 machine. But again, it's just a bad bump, bad circumstance. It gets the driver out of sorts and clips the 9, and then goes trying to save the machine, but comes back up into the field and wipes out everyone else to the top side.
Yeah, and look right here. As everybody's just trying to escape through. And again, you know, a late hit there, but a good job by a lot of people to make it through that. I literally, when you first started saying the wrecking, I thought, oh man, this is a 20-car pileup right here, just with the way it looked. Most people stacked up on the outside of the car going up to the top, but a lot of people did a great job of just getting checked up and getting woed up, and somehow they come out the other end of this wreck now and hit pit road, because guess what? This is going to be the final stop for everybody here tonight. No need for a green flag stop.
Yeah, there's no need for a green flag stop. Some drivers might think about maybe topping off just in case they think about overtime, but drivers with required damage for this most recent wreck and caution, it's going to be Bill Gentry in the 4 back at pit road, Tyler Millette in the 94, and Eddie Rivers in the 15, all forced into pit road, get service done. And it looks like more drivers going to be calling it a day, as Bill Gentry had to spend all the time to get that 4 machine repaired. He gets caught up in another big wreck. It looks like Bill calling it a night early. It's going to be 34th for the 4 machine on where he's going to finish this evening.
Ah, man, it's so tough because he was running in a good spot there and just was an innocent bystander caught up in some other incidents. And that is, I think, a great way to describe Daytona. It's a lot of times how it is. You just make laps around here. You hope to have some sort of opportunity when you come down to the end. And unfortunately for drivers like Chris Leftwich and Bill Gentry, who are 2 drivers out of this race, they just had their opportunities come to a close pretty much in the same incident.
Opportunities come to a close for some. Others, the opportunity mounts back up. Nate Orlowitsky got to be back on the lead lap. Going to get the Lucky Dog Award for the 29 machine. But, you know, if you're just new watching us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, and almost all broadcasts, you could say, there's a thing called the commentator's curse. It's struck already. The power of when we talk good about a driver, usually within a lap, maybe that's the next caution. They're caught up in it. I want to say sorry to Eric Warman publicly sorry for cheering you on the fact that you were the biggest mover at the time and then gets caught up in that wreck. We hate the fact that we have this power of trying to praise someone and then it backfires, but it's there, Zach. It's always an unfortunate thing.
It never ceases to blow our minds, in my opinion, because it happens week in and week out on different leagues, different drivers. I mean, some drivers, it seems like if you just say their name, it happens, but You know, we don't do it on purpose. That's for sure, Sam. I don't think there's no ill intent from us up here. It's just unfortunate the way the racing gods play it out sometimes, I think.
I mean, there's a times where we test that fate. I mean, whenever there's a long green flag run, we're just like, hey, maybe a caution flag will come out. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. But these drivers, I know that they were hoping not to be involved with that wreck, but still in pit road, getting damage repair. Going to be Tyler Millette and Eric Mormon getting their damage repair, hoping to get back out on track for this next restart. We'll have 29 drivers on the lead lap. And Chuck Cobb, who was involved with this most recent wreck, back out on track, but one lap down is the 81 machine. And hoping to see how this restart's gonna go. Zach, you touched on it. There shouldn't be any green flag pit stops from here on out. This should be it if we stay green. But for the drivers up front, do they just continue what they're doing? Or is there anything that you need to change up if you're the teammates that have been up front dominating?
I don't think you change up anything right now. My question is, what do teammates race like when it comes down to the end? Because there is 5 of them. That is a large number of teammates. So there's plenty of action there for teammates to, you know, kind of team up with other teammates. So we could see, you know, a 2-on-2, a 2v3. I don't know. We'll have to definitely see. And then if they go at it with each other, that gives more opportunity for everybody else. So, you know, the question is going to be, how do their royalties lie when it comes down to those last few laps in? Because that's where you get the test, the true fate of how strong the bond is between teammates.
Is the bond strong? Are you aiming for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or are you just thinking about getting the win, starting the season off right? This is one of those series where there are no playoffs, so every position matters. So let's see how the drivers want to play nice as we're back to green flag racing. 25 laps to go here tonight for the Group 6 200, and already back in line. It's going to be Adam Gardner trying to get the pole award, win duel number 1, and a win here tonight. What a feat of speed week you could have if you're this 56 machine. Or will you be someone who could try to steal the thunder away? As a little bit of movement, drivers trying to sequence back up, and not the cleanest move it to the outside, and all that jostling is still able to keep the front packed the way that they want, but that was probably the scariest transition we've seen. And now you're seeing the momentum working out the inside row. Watch out for that 7. It's going to be Armio in that 7 machine.
Great to see a newcomer up here in the front, this Armio in the 7, and he's going to have the help of the 10 of Steve Gerber. Those two are trying to go forward, but right there, just a few too good of hits, I think, that got that 7 a little bit sideways, and now look at that. Momentum gone. Now the 6 of Kevin Thompson. He's going to drop down here and try to get in front of his teammates, it looks like.
Hoping to have a better bump off the exit of the corner in the 7 and the 6. Hoping to get the better push off the exit of the corner, and still some jostling on the outside lane. These bumps, Zach, they're not the cleanest bumps in around, but able to defend and block the inside row. Great move by the teammates up front.
Oh, man, and Gary Clune looked at they're wrecking each other.
Oh, and a clip and a spin, and there goes Kevin Thompson up in the field. You wanted a big one, you got it. It is the majority of the field piling in, and they're still wrecking. They're not able to get on the brakes. Now they slam, but it's too late. More drivers piling in, and let the big one rain with coming up to 20 laps to go.
That one was definitely a big one, and that all started around this 6 machine right here and the 45 of Gary Clune. That one's going to be an awkward situation there, Sam. That's 2 teammates that are kind of going for the same spot on the racetrack and end up taking each other out. So, man, oh man, we'll get to see here what happens. But I feel like this top group here, they wanted to get down low, it looked like, and they wanted to get there very quickly. And it looks like Clune in the 45, he was clear, but the 6 immediately just when he saw the nose, any little bit of the nose getting there, he took that opportunity. And then the 45, it looks like it's going to come down and just clip him, and maybe even a little bit of net code involved. But you see Jonathan Jennings, I mean, look at the hits and the speed that some of these guys take.
I did the count, 11 drivers in total with required damage, and there's even more than 11 that were officially caught up in that mess. Kevin Brown, too many incident points, the 33 disqualified from the race. But some very fast drivers have been waiting in the back half of the pack, caught up in this one. Justin McMahon, Steve Garber, Tyler Millette, Kevin Thompson, Gary Clune, Richard Leclerc, as well as Jonathan Jennings, all at some point had required damage. And just one clip, that one mistake, catches, and just they continue to pile in after that. And even the second pack, Zach, they weren't even able to slow down.
No, they were not able to. As more things were piling in there late into that event, and just look at the carnage. So many cars hurt and damaged from that wreck right there. This just changed the whole playing field of this race, because now two of those twisted axle cars completely out of this race. Now we have three of them up here. That gives, I think, more opportunity to these other teams to kind of team up against them. So now, will the numbers game prevail in the other way?
But the numbers game may not even matter because the amount of drivers that were caught up in that mess, who's still going to have a raceable car at this point? There are about 11 drivers that did not have to come to pit road during that run. I take it back, 10 drivers didn't pit under this caution. And that just proves those were 10 drivers that were not touched and didn't feel like they needed to come into pit road. First driver out is going to be Michael Hayes. Nick Orlowski, who was a lap down, at one moment 2 laps down, now going to be 12th. And everyone else, they've been in pit road for 50 plus seconds getting repairs done. Some still in pit road getting repairs done.
And I tell you what, there's also some more cars out that stayed out even that have some damage. I'm looking at the 14 of Kevin Brown. The front end of that 14, I mean, that thing is clobbered, folks. That thing is not looking in the greatest shape, so I'm surprised he didn't come down and at least try to get some of that damage repaired on that car. But yeah, we're gonna have some hurt race cars out there. So like you said, Sam, you know, the numbers game might be out the window. I mean, we might, you know, be down to such a limited number of group of cars that it gets very, very interesting. But I tell you what, when you have that limited number, things happen slower, but they almost happen at a bigger rate because the closing distances and the distances between each other are bigger, causing a little bit more draft to actually cause that suck up. So we could get some interesting racing here. It's going to be a little bit more slow paced in my opinion, but it could still very well be super exciting to see how this is all going to still play out.
It is all coming down to this as drivers now going to be calling it a night. Again, Kevin Brown in the 33 officially out of this race, disqualified. Too many incident points for the 33 machine, as if you have 17 or more incident points building up, you are disqualified from the race. And Zach, there's a few drivers now that haven't been caught up in two incidences here this evening, and now they got to be thinking, if I get caught up in another mess, my race could be done without me even having another chance to fight.
Yeah, that's got to be a tough position to put yourself in right now, and you're at Daytona. You don't like those odds. Definitely, you feel like those odds are probably against you a little bit, but we'll just have to see how it all shakes out here. I mean, what a calm, I'd say, start to this race, but as we've gotten to the middle, it's got a little bit shaky. And right now, everybody, I think, on the edge of their seat, just trying to say, am I going to make it to the end of this race, let alone win this thing?
Well, I'm looking through the amount of drivers I've seen in past wrecks, and those who are just caught up in this one, there might be only 5, if that, drivers that have not been involved in an incident today, and they are for the 5 drivers that are mostly inside of our top 10. But there's even drivers inside of our top 10 that have had some unfortunate circumstance hit them. Well, with less than 20 laps to go when we go green, these drivers are going to be in a head-scratching moment. Is it going to be based off survival? And can the front runners continue to defend their positioning? They've lost 2 of their friends to help with, but Adam Gardner, Andrew St. Cour, they're hoping that they can continue to stay up front, as we've had 4 cautions here tonight. 12 caution laps could be 13. How many more lead changes will we have? Because I think with this wreck, it certainly does give an opportunity for other drivers to fight up front. 20 laps to go for the Group 6 200 at Daytona. We're back underway as the madness continues here tonight.
And another, looks like an early start there for Adam Gardner, who's going to try to jump down in front of teammate Andrew St. Cour, along with Nicholas Atwood, as the 3 remaining twisted axle cars immediately jump up to the top. Looks like Raymond, come on, I think he's figured out these 3 are pretty good to team up with. I might need to stick with these fast cars.
Yeah, it's not the worst place to be. Also going to be seeing Steven Bonomo following those drivers on the outside. Not a lot of help in that inside group. Following back, going to be Leroy Koblitz as well as Gary Armio going to be looking for any type of help. And Hunter Simpson, Zach, inside of the top 10. That 5 machine earlier on in this race had no front bumper. He's back into the mix instead of our top 5. But again, where's the strength of the field? Where will the speed be handled as the 9 makes the diving move by himself?
It's going to be interesting to see how these cars who've gotten fixed up, like someone like a Hunter Simpson, how will they be able to use these cars? Will they still work very effectively? Because, we have such series as the Gen 4 car on Wednesday nights where you fix that car, it's almost back to 100% brand new, where I think in the next gen, you're still going to have some lingering effects, but I think in the draft, those deficits will be kind of eliminated a little bit more.
Based off the speed that we're seeing right now, top 13 drivers able to stay in the draft. There's a few drivers that are a lap down still attached with the front group, but looks to be 13 abled vehicles at this time to stick in the front group. Everyone from 14th on back, they are still scrapped up and waiting for Destruction Derby to begin as they continue to just ride around this course. But for how long is going to be the key question. Up front, still Adam Gardner, St. Court, and Atwood defending perfectly like they've been doing all night long. They're missing 2 friends, but even with 3 cars, these next-gen vehicles, Zach, you technically, if you get a good bump and run, you can defend with just 3 vehicles.
You really can. Even though there's only 3 of the twisted axle cars, I still don't put it past them being very, very strong. They're coming down to not only that their cars are fast and they seem to be very, very good drivers, but the fact is that 3 cars, and still, in my opinion, it's pretty good number to work with when you have a team thing like this. So we'll see who can mount something for him. But if I'm Adam Gardner, I'm doing exactly what he's doing. I'm not leaving that top side until that bottom can show something that he can throw great passes, because with him running the top side like that, it kind of defends his right side of someone trying to get to his outside and take that position. So really good job by this 56 car, able to really hold a good spot.
And with just 13 drivers in this lead pack, kind of giving us a little bit more of a clear picture of the drivers to watch out for. There's a few that we haven't really talked about. I mean, Michael Hayes, who right in 13th place, we haven't talked about. He's in a very protect his own positioning in the back, waiting for maybe a wreck, maybe a big move later on in these last 16 laps. A driver we have absolutely not talked about at all, that's the 50 machine, who's leading the inside row right now.
Have not talked out much about him for sure. It's good to see different drivers up here in the mix, such as Michael Dow, and I think this is kind of the interesting thing about Daytona is sometimes these races are based on attrition, and just being a person who can just get out here with a clean car is going to bring you home a good points night. And right now, Michael Dow did a good job of that. Is the 9 car of Stephen Bonomo. What a pass from him! Just jumps to the outside of that 50 and kind of just drives around by himself.
Wants to be the lead driver is Bonomo. Another driver we really haven't talked about, that's the 99 of Jonathan Smith. Where will Dow? Where will Armio? Also the 42 of Koblitz. Where do you want to place yourself moving forward as you're driving by lap traffic? Lap traffic can give you a little bit of a toe to work with, but you can't really track behind them. There's 15 laps to go here tonight, Zach. They single file out, but the question then looms, who's going to make the first move? And it looks like they're already mounting up the positioning to make a pass. It's going to be the 99 of Jonathan Smith. Not waiting any time, and he's got a 9 machine behind him. It's Bonomo, Smith powering on the inside, but they just don't have enough momentum to even make a move. They're actually losing ground.
Yeah, you see it. I mean, they are literally looks like they're going to have the slot back in here. It just shows you that top side is so strong, man. It really is tough for this inside to mount any type of charge. And especially with only really 2 cars locked bumpers, you need those other 2 to get really close to the back bumper of that 9 machine if they want to go forward.
And that's when the 3rd car in line has to be trusted. You have to time your bumps and do with these next-gen vehicles, the number 1 rule is never push the pusher, but with this car, that's the fastest way to go, is give a bump, being that 3rd driver in line. So a lot of pressure is going to be on the 7 of how is Armio going to help the inside row, and can they get any more assistance with power forward? They're also going to need mistakes to happen, as the teammates up front, Gardner, Poor, Atwood, they have been in a position of perfection up front. They're trying to continue it on, but who maybe might think about diving down low and changing up this factor with 13 laps to go? This race is still in the hands of these drivers. And up front, we're starting to see that inside row. They're working now. Here's Zach.
That they are. Inside row starting to make some headway, led by Jonathan Smith and that number 9 is Steven Bonomo. So great job by them to get some speed going. And what it's done is it took 5 cars to get here going. And, you know, not at all times are they pulling forward, but they just need to get little chunks at a time and just try not to lose too much. And they could have a shot here to pull up alongside.
They are trying their best to be fighting forward. How well can you get yourself moving in this group? This lead pack, again, it's the drivers that we have kind of circled up are the favorites to win here tonight, unless they somehow wreck all each other out. There is a second pack that is 15 seconds off the leader, being led by Eddie Rivers, but they are continuing to lose time and running a total of 2 seconds slower than this lead pack, even with the amount of drivers they have. Just everyone's so damaged and wounded, they're not able to build up that momentum as the lead group has been doing. And there's actually trouble a few laps ago with that of Mark Dumont and Cobb that got into one another. The 14 forced to pit road.
And I'll tell you what, this group here, yeah, it's tough for them right now because they're about 16 seconds back, like we were saying, and couldn't, you know, keep pace with those leaders. But if we get down to that white flag, stay with it, guys, because you never know what happens up front. We could have 5, 10, 15 cars get involved in an incident up front, and then you never know. You could be fighting for a top 5, possibly even a top 3 at some point. We've seen crazier. Oh, there's definitely some blinking going on out there. I'm not sure which car it is. I think it's Hunter Simpson.
That is Atwood. That is having some massive internet issues in the 19, and that explosion you saw is when a driver blinks out. There are times where he'll just disappear with no showings, and there's other times where it will blink out and show that the car exploded and wrecked. That's what we visibly just saw. All the drivers are still running clean, but a huge scare. And if you're one of the drivers, when they blink out, it's actually different from what we visibly see. It's a lot scarier when you're in the car, and we almost, I think, had some drivers think about throwing it into the outside wall to try to avoid an invisible vehicle.
That they did. I thought it was Hunter Simpson because he, like you said, he was the one that almost threw himself into the wall to try to miss that explosion we had off of turn 2 there. So that's a thing you get here when it comes to online racing. You're gonna get wild events like that, such, and great heads up job by everybody not to overreact for that, for sure, because big explosion from that little bit of a lag there. Hopefully don't see no more of that from that 19, and it looks like it has cleared up for now. As I thought the inside lane could take advantage of that, Sam. You know, it was outside kind of deteriorated because of that, and they had pulled up to about that 4th or 5th car, and then again the outside lane, once again, it just kind of solidifies up, and they just cannot get past that 4th car, in my opinion.
Well, like I said earlier, there's some drivers that are in this lead group that have been involved with 1 or 2 wrecks here tonight, so their incident point limit is getting a little bit closer than they would like. And if they get caught up in a wreck, their race at night could be over. So when they saw that explosion, a lot of them slammed on the brakes, let off, was trying not to find any way to avoid that wreck. So they gave up any momentum they had at that time. And with 9 laps to go, we're starting to see drivers back off. This is a showing and a sign of drivers trying to mount up some big momentum shifts to try to make some big moves.
That's exactly right, Sam. You know, the thing about it, when you stack up this top side like this, the one thing you got to watch for, you know, you think, okay, we're just all in line and everybody's riding, but you have to watch that driver behind you for how far the distance is growing, because if you make too big of a gap, that car behind is going to have such a mega run on you at some point that it's going to be very hard to defend that run. So at that point, you got to manage those gaps, kind of even drag your brake. It's crazy to say. You would think these guys running wide open, they're trying to go as fast as possible. Well, sometimes you got to drag that brake to keep you just that much closer to the car behind you so they don't allow them to, you know, utilize that draft to pull themselves and slingshot past you, such to say.
There are so many different ways you can make a pass, but there's also so many ways to make mistakes in this scenario. You're starting to mount up, feel the jitters, recognizing, okay, this is crunch time. 7 laps to go. You might be able to practice maybe 2, 3 more moves at most of what you would like to do on the last lap. But Zach, for these drivers that are in the back half of this league, oh, never mind, throw it away. We got to spin in a wreck. More drivers piling in, and it's going to be Gary Dumont, who, again, talked about drivers that got caught up in a wreck. They're going to get disqualified. The 63 immediately spun, and get him out of here. Disqualifies the 63 machine.
Gary Maydew, just like that, all over in a blink of an eye for him, because such a tough incident there. Is, I believe what happened there is just everything stacked up there, Sam, with I believe the 38, the 19, the 12, and all that. You know, really kind of slowing up there in the exit too. Yeah,
it was the 29 that found himself getting to the outside of the 63, clipping him, spinning him, and a bunch of other drivers caught up in that mess.
That was, and you'll get to see this here. It might even get a net code possibly, but as they come through 1 and 2 here, they're going to be checking, and look at Maydew. He pulls the load and missed the checkup. The 29 goes high, and unfortunately they come together, and look at this, the 60 also involved in this here, as others are just going to try to scathe through it. But man, oh man, it just shows you things happen so quickly here at Daytona. They're riding all perfectly, and then boom, the big one happens, or a wreck happens, and multiple drivers there, like you said, with those incident points, out of this race.
Out of this race, and now the 50 machine required damage sent to pit road, and this is the reset of late in a race. We will stay inside of regulation due to the timing of this caution. I think we're going to be having about 3 to go, potentially 2 to go when we go green again. In this field, an interesting call. If you're the lead drivers, you're not expecting to go into pit road because you're good on fuel. But how many drivers deeper in the field might think about, you know, getting some fresh rubber, try to get some more of that damage repair, maybe have a fighting chance if maybe there's slight optional repairs that could give you that aero help that you need to stay with this lead pack. And Zach, this is crunch time. These drivers know this is the nightmare that the front group did not want to see.
Yeah, this is not definitely but you know, if you're Adam Gardner, Andrew St. Nicholas Atwood, you liked what was happening there. You wanted to see that race keep, you know, clicking off the laps, because now you're gonna have to deal with a restart. That kind of shuffles thing up. We've seen how good they've been to get organized, but definitely don't want to get shuffled up too much here on this restart, because right now it's getting down to the crunch time, and you never know, it's going to come down to maybe every man for himself here when we take this green flag.
Well, thank you so much, everyone that's joining with us here tonight. It is going to be a very short sprint. If it's needed, we do have overtime attempts if we have another caution before this race is concluded. But for the future schedule for these drivers, I do want to let you know, next week, the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series will be taking the week off of February 15th. We'll be back in 2 weeks on February 22nd. As the drivers will tackle their way at Iowa Speedway. Then after that, they'll send their cars to Atlanta with the next 2 races in line. But again, I'm taking next week off because Valentine's Day is on Wednesday. I want to make sure everyone's got their time with their significant other on the 15th if needed. And so the drivers will be back in 2 weeks. And Zach, I think it might be needed after the way this race has gone down.
Yeah, for sure. A little break for sure. I mean, you got to also understand, they've been at Daytona, for multiple weeks now here. You get a little burnout at Daytona at some point. You know, you're ready to go on and get to kind of the meat and potatoes of the schedule. Just those cookie cutter tracks that you know are going to be the ones that make up majority of the schedule and have the most effect, where Daytona is the prestige. It's the allure of going and winning that first race. But once you get involved in an incident here in Daytona, the prestige and allure, they kind of go out the window. You're just kind of upset and more or less saying, let's get to the next race.
Now, we certainly cannot wait for the next race. It's going to be a 5-race streak that we're going to go through before they go on to their next break in the spring. But again, thank you so much to everyone that has already subscribed, liked the video for tonight. Hopefully you're enjoying us being the new voice of the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series on Thursday nights. We were so happy with this partnership, being able to cover such a great league that has also got some rich history. And we'll see who's going to be the newest winner for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series for season 1 of 2024. Race number 1, as well as other drivers that are still in the fight. You look at the drivers that are still here. Last driver to win this race was 2 seasons ago, as they did not race in the 2023 Season 3. It was 2023 Season 2, where it was Andrew St. Cours that found himself going for the win, and then Hunter Simpson was the other driver that won back in 2023 Season 1. And those drivers hoping to get into victory lane, because all the other past winners caught in the fight. Or could we see a brand new Daytona winner? Zach, it's looking like it's Gardner's kind of story to finish, but is anyone else still have a fighting chance?
I'd say what, Gardner, if he does end up pulling this off, it's going to be impressive because think about it. Won his set on the pole position, won his heat race. Now, and then won the fun race even later in that race, the practice race that they had later. Now in position to win this again. He's pretty much won everything at Daytona.
Yeah, I mean, he is trying to go for the sweep. We think of how we started the Daytona kind of month, you could say, for these drivers. It was actually Andrew St. Cours that won the fundraising race all the way back at the Daytona 300 a few weeks back. But will it be Adam Gardner that's looking for the start of the season sweep here for Speed Week? Let's find out. Pace car into pit road, into the restart zone. We're green for the Group 6 200. 3 laps to go to crown a winner. Can we stay green? If we get a caution before the white flag, we head to overtime. Here we go, Zach, down into turn number 1.
Look at this start here. Adam Gardner jumps down in front of Andrew St. Cours, but it's going to be Raymond Haman in that third position that gets in between Nicholas Atwood and that 12 machine. What will he do coming down to the end of this race here with 3 to go? The inside line now forming also. Every man's game here down the back stretch.
Jonathan Smith was hoping for some help on the inside road. No one was able to really go up to him. Instead, they're going to be 3 wide battling back for 6th place. That 3 wide action going to be losing a lot of momentum. It's now down to just 6 drivers ahead. A little bit of smoky and spilling, and contact for the 29. We're heading to overtime. Yellow flag is out, and another fast contender caught up in a mess. It's just dwindling down, Zach. We might have only about 8 or 9 drivers that are in a condition to even have a chance to win.
Oh, man. In each and every one of these restarts, it's more and more interesting to see how will these drivers attack it. I mean, if you're Adam Gardner, you got to be saying, how many more of these can I go through, man? I just want to get to the white flag to finish this thing out, as we're going to see what happened here on this caution here. But it looks like, I think that was netcode there, Sam. Looks like a good bit, too.
Yeah, there was some massive netcode there. There was about a half a car length gap between each driver that sent the 29 up into the wall. And Zach, interesting thing, one overtime attempt. This will be the final attempt at this race, and this has got to be feeling good for the drivers up front, because we've seen great restarts. It takes about a lap before anyone can really have a fighting chance for the leaders. This is primed and perfect for Adam Gardner and Andrew St. Cours right here for this restart.
It really is, and this is where we start to think, what does St. Cours do? Does he, take the risk, the opportunity here, or does he stick to the back bumper of his teammate? Those are questions that he needs to ask himself. I'm sure Adam Gardner is asking himself, how much can I trust Andrew here? But these guys have went through the situation. That's what teammates are for. You got to have those strong bonds between them to know how it's going to race out here at the end. But I tell you what, hopefully they can put on a good show for us and bring it to at least to the line in one piece.
We got a great question coming in from the chat. People wondering, what's the fuel conditions looking like for the field? Everyone is good on fuel for this restart into the end of the race. No one should run out, and so that's going to be a good fighting chance. Anyone still who's on the lead lap, which is going to be, I believe, our top 17, make that 18 drivers are on the lead lap for this final restart of the night.
This is where it's all about, folks. I mean, when you have one green-white checkered attempt, Sam, that changes a lot of things. That if the yellow comes out and the race is over, where you have multiple of them, you kind of almost expect to have a few. But right now, if you're Adam Gardner, you just need to have a good restart. And even another thing is, if you do jump out like he's been doing to jump with Andrew here, can someone take advantage of that and get the run on these two they need? They haven't been able to do it all night, but that's going to be the question here on this last restart. Who can time it? Who can get the run needed to fight the Twisted Axle group?
Yeah, I mean, the Twistle Axle group has been strong again. That's Adam Gardner in the 56, starting in first place. Second of Andrew St. Cour, and fourth place runner of Nicholas Atwood. And where does Gardner want to restart here? Because he can restart with a teammate directly behind him, or he could time it where he could just take off and line up right in front of the 12. Or do you just say, this is the final restart? Good luck. Let's see if you can time this restart on your own.
I think it's more of a good luck thing. At least that's, from my previous experience in these things. Once it gets down to this, it's kind of every man for himself. You wanna make sure as a team that you do good at Daytona. So you will help each other, I think, at the start of this, restart. But once we get the white flag, I think at that point, you got to be able to take the opportunity that you think you'll be able to use to go win this race. And we'll see. Again, I've seen multiple times where drivers have elected. They said, hey, I'm going to stick to my teammate all the way to the end of the checker flag. I've seen times where drivers immediately give up on their teammate and go for the pass. So there's plenty of opportunity here still left to see that pass done. But if you're Adam Gardner, you're thinking, does my teammate want to make this pass, or does he want to stay behind me and push me in? Because you definitely feel better if that 12 sticks behind you.
That you certainly do. And coming into this season, if you take away the fun race from last week, the only official win that Adam Gardner has ever picked up in his career was all the way back in 2021 at Kentucky. That was the very first season. It was the summer shootout, season 1, where that of Adam Gardner found himself in a victory lane. Tonight could be a massive win for himself. Almost 3 years. It's been 2.5 years since he was in victory lane for an official race in the season. Tonight could be special for that 56 machine here, Zach. And also for Andrew St. Cour, he's looking for a chance to get back into victory lane. He's been a strong driver in the past history books, and another one of those drivers looking for their first win. Watch out for Nicholas Atwood if he has an opportunity. He's still searching for his first ever career win.
So plenty of opportunity here available to all of them. And I mean, we heard Adam Gardner's interview last week about when he was excited about winning the dual race. If he can go out here and get the win tonight here at Daytona to start off the season, I think that'll put the cherry on top of Speed Weeks for that 56 team.
Or could we see ourselves with a brand new winner completely here tonight? Rookie, that 38 machine of Raymond Handyman. There are plenty of opportunities. Could it be someone that's waiting in the wings even further behind our top 4? All searching for their own history books here. Where will they be here tonight? As where we go, the final start, final restart of the night. It's the Group 6 200 at Daytona. Here we go, Zach. It's Adam Gardner with a fabulous launch, but was it too far ahead?
It looks like it might have been a pretty big jump here, but it looks like Cour going to be getting to the back bumper, or does he look high? Look at this. Gardner, though, with that jump, there's going to go to the high side here, Sam. I thought he was looking for a moment.
Looking for a moment to try to steal the show. Instead, we'll stay in line. Top side looks to be where the speed's at. But if we get a yellow flag before the white, this race becomes official. All being up front. Every moment, every position counts. At this time, it's Adam Gardner. St. Cour going to be your front 2. Handyman, where will he place himself in that of Atwood? Does he make any big moves? It looks like it's just going to be our top 4. Where do you place yourself?
Where do you place yourself? That's the question right now as they're coming out of 4, Sam, and looking to get that white.
We will get the white flag. It is official. Your freaky fast white flag is in hand. This race is all about who's going to finish. All these wrecks don't matter. It's about crossing the line first. Everyone scattering behind. It's the top 4. Where do you go? Handyman, Atwood, do the teammates stay together? Or do you become a little bit selfish here as they hit the backstretch?
It looks like they're going to hold the bottom side. Here comes the 19 Atwood. He's to the outside of Hanneman, and he's going to have the help of Joe McKnight down the back straightaway. Will they have enough, though, for the 12 and the 40 or the 56?
Trying to build up the momentum. The side draft looks to be a little bit too strong. Hanneman's going to be getting the run. Massive run for the 38. St. Cour staying in line. Will he bounce high? Does he bounce low? Gardner in line. And Gardner with the picture-perfect Daytona will win the Group 6 200 to start the season. Holy smoke, Zach. What a dominant week for this 56. He got the pole, won the duel, won the fun race, and wins the official first race of the season. The Group 6 200 goes to Adam Gardner.
What a win from the Scooby-Doo machine. I tell you what, it was a perfect speed weeks for that group there. Great teamwork from Twisted Axle as they're going to bring home a 1-2-4, it looks like. So great job from that group. And it just shows you again the preparation, the work they put in. It's all come down to this.
It is picture perfect for the 56 and the teamwork sticking together. Andrew St. Cour really did. He had so many opportunities to bounce to the outside, inside, decided to stick with his teammate, and it was a perfect running for this team as Adam Garner is going to burn it down. Have some fun. We will step aside when we come back. We'll talk to our top three and a spotlight driver, get their thoughts on tonight's race. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. The Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series had a overtime attempt, and there was only one overtime attempt for all these races. And what a finish to the end of it. We got to see the 56, Adam Gardner, just put on a show and a clinic there with his teammates and comes away with the victory and almost a picture-perfect speed week, you could call it. Adam, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on the win. And what you could call a perfect weekend, you got yourself the pole, the duel win. You won the fun race after the duels were finished, and you find yourself in a victory lane for the Group 6 200. How are you feeling after that type of a week?
I am feeling wonderful. That was an absolute blast. God, ever since we got down here to Daytona last week. And yeah, I had a lot of fun. Great work with the teammates out there. Made some good friends with some other guys that are new to me that I hadn't raced with before. And definitely look forward to racing with them more as the season goes. And it was fun seeing some faces that I hadn't seen in a while. And glad, hopefully everybody else that was watching enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed running it.
It was definitely an excellent race, Adam. And first off, congrats on the win and starting the season off with such a great start for your team there in the 56 crew, man. But this is the first super speedway, first race we get to see of y'all here with the open setups. How do y'all feel about carrying this momentum to the, I'd say the more cookie cutter style tracks for Twisted Axle?
If the cars feel like they felt these last couple weeks here while we've been down at Daytona, I'm looking forward to it. Whether I was pushing someone, being pushed, didn't matter where I was at relation to dirty air or anything like that. The car just felt absolutely great, really stable. Great work with the teammates tonight, whether it was Andrew, Nick, Gary, Kevin, any of them pushing, it felt absolutely comfortable. None of them overdid it. Raymond he was a lot of fun to work with. And I know he worked with us during our dual races too, and didn't have any issues. He was a good pusher and didn't get over aggressive, make any jumpy moves or anything. So overall, I mean, end of the night, I got to call it a success. I'm definitely happy, and yeah.
Well, we take the week off, and then we find ourselves going to Iowa, our next racetrack, Atlanta, and Las Vegas. Going to be our next three. What's the confidence level for those next three races?
Iowa, I'm not the best of short track guys, but we'll see. I surprised myself the last time I ran a short track, so and never say never. Atlanta, the way the team worked together tonight, I could definitely see another strong showing there. Vegas is always a blast, no matter what series I'm running in. So looking forward to that one. And all in all, pretty optimistic. A great mood to end the night. Yeah.
I mean, it looked amazing from our perspective. Great teamwork overall. And Adam, before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
All right. Thank you to Daniel for going ahead putting this on each week. It's been a blast. I've been here since day one, season one. So we definitely wouldn't be coming on if I wasn't enjoying myself, and I really am, especially now. All the guys over at Twisted Axle, Kevin, Gary, Andrew, Nick, great teamwork with them. Really looking forward to seeing what the season brings. Guys over there at Shoney's for helping out with the sponsorship on it. Group 6 for helping out with the sponsorship tonight. Putting on the race. You guys over at Freaky Fast for bringing it to us, because I absolutely love watching it back and listening to it. Really, really enjoyable time. So definitely want to appreciate you guys for putting it on. Everybody that's watching, I know there's a bunch of people from my work watching tonight. I'm looking forward to hearing from them about it when we get into work tomorrow and how much they enjoyed watching it. And then my personal sponsor again, same as last week, Base 8 Limousine, based out of Northern Massachusetts and serving all the New England area, whether it's an airport run, a night out, going to a sporting event, concert, anything. They can pretty much take care of anything someone's got out there. So give them a jingle and they'll hook you up, give you a good deal, and send you out a beautiful car with a great driver.
Well, Adam, again, congratulations on being the first winner of this season. Perfect week for yourself. Again, got the pole, won the duel, won the fun race, and took the ultimate prize. Your Group 6 200 winner, Adam Garner. Congratulations, Adam. Enjoy this week off, and good luck in 2 weeks.
Sounds good, guys. Have a great night.
You too. As we head from victory lane, we go down to second place to his teammate, where he was doing the best pushing you could ask for. We have the 12 with us of Andrew. Andrew, what a run for yourself. We saw you a few weeks ago win the Daytona 300 fundraising race, but tonight it looked like it was all about being the best teammate that you could be. How are you feeling after a fabulous performance here tonight by the team?
Yeah, pretty excited. Really, really excited. Just really how the whole team worked together tonight. Really happy for Adam. Obviously, that was really the plan, and he was smart at the end. He dropped low and kind of took my only real move away to try to make a move at the end. And I definitely wasn't going to hurt his chances for a win by trying to get too aggressive there. So I was committed to him. I was committed to Gary earlier on in the run as well. So yeah, everything just seemed to work out perfect tonight, with pits and pitting under caution and getting back out and being able to form up on restarts. And I really enjoyed the pushing and helping one of my teammates get to the win. It was obviously a pretty good start to the season for us.
Definitely an excellent start to the season, Andrew. Man, congrats on second and the great teamwork you guys showed tonight. And just the question I got for you guys is, the line choice. It seemed like you guys could make both the bottom and top work, but it seemed like, as a group of five, y'all immediately, if you got clear, y'all always try to shoot up to that top. Can you give us the reasoning for that?
Yeah, it just seemed to be able to carry more speed, more momentum up there. It really we we felt as though if we ever had to get to the bottom, to try to if we had five of us working together on the bottom, we felt like we could have had something for a top line. But we knew we really had to work well together to do that. And essentially, we felt that um, we I guess we were just pretty confident that we didn't think that necessarily be enough cars on the bottom being able to be that committed with each other to help each other overcome us five on top. So that's essentially it. We were just kind of playing the odds, and honestly, we were so excited to get five of us together. Like we were like, how did this happen? So relatively easy, in the first 15 laps or so of the run, and it all seemed to come together for us until a couple incidents later in the run where a couple of our teammates obviously had some really unfortunate luck, but yeah. So
Well, overall, it was great showing by the team as a whole when you guys were all five together, and even at the end, seeing your guys' teamwork to come away with a 1-2-4 finish. Now, what's coming off of Daytona, moving away, we're heading to Iowa, Atlanta, Las Vegas, the next three races. What are you hoping to show out in those races, and what's the confidence level for these next three races after our off week?
um I traditionally speaking, the Iowa sort of tracks, short tracks essentially, races like a mile and a half, but has not always been a strength of mine. But I think it's something that I've worked on a lot over the last couple of years, sort of deal. And I definitely think we got something for that race, and looking forward to it. Then, of course, when we get into Atlanta again, really, it's another race just like tonight. We'll have a game plan where we'll try to get us together and work together the best we can, and because we know that that's what that race is all about, working together and trying to get track position, maintain track position, and so on. Then, of course, get to Vegas. Vegas is one of my favorite tracks, and that's one that I've had some success here in the past with. So, that's always going to be a one to look forward to for me. So, um, looking forward to the next few weeks. Looking forward to the whole season, actually, and looking forward to the schedule for sure.
Oh, we're excited for it as well. Andrew, before we officially call it a night for yourself, the floor is now yours for any shoutouts.
Yeah, just gotta. Well, thank you guys. Great broadcast. Thank Daniel and the admins. We got to thank my whole team. The five of us, and at the end there, we we were able to work with Raymond as well, to kind of bring him along and ensure that he had a good finish. And so that was it's nice to have that camaraderie with other folks in the league as well, and build those relationships. That was great. And of course, I got to thank my BMP, Beast Mode Performance. They're the folks that help us with our setups each week. And that's pretty well it. Oh, BMAC, I'm pretty sure she was watching, and got a shout out to her. So that's it. Thanks.
Well, Andrew, it was a pleasure to watch you and your team perform here tonight. It was almost a picture perfect 5 in a row, but like I said, a couple of mishaps. Still a great finish for the majority of the team. Congratulations on second. Enjoy your off week, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you very much. Take care.
Well, that's going to be your second place finisher of the 12 of Andrew St. Cour. We're now going to move down to third place. We're going to see how Raymond's feeling after his performance as we bring in our third place finisher in the 38 machine. Raymond, you were trying your best to get by that crew, but third place was the best that you could find yourself in. How are you feeling, though, after tonight and coming away third?
I'm feeling pretty good, honestly. Feeling really good.
Definitely got to feel good after that performance, Raymond. I mean, coming into tonight, what was the expectations? What was the nerves level? And just, like you said, you feel good about how it came out, but is this better than what you expected?
I was expecting a top 5, honestly. I knew there'd be a lot of people in here working with teammates, different setups. everyone's got a different way of racing Daytona with these open setups as well. So it's, finding out my teammates weren't able to race, which is very unfortunate. I was like, okay, well, I qualified third with no teammates in the duels. Maybe I can do something here. So when I found out everyone was at the front and they're all in a team and I was like all lining up and stuff like that, I was like, I got to get in the middle of that pack. So that's what I was aiming for.
You did just that, Raymond. You did a great job at making that move to get up into third. Well, we're going to have a week off next week. Be back in 2 weeks for Iowa, Atlanta, Las Vegas. What is your confidence level for those races and for the whole season as we have officially started now?
Honestly, if I got to work on my own setups, I don't really got anything to base anything off of. So as long as I get a good setup and I can tweak the car just the way I like it, just the way I can feel it properly on the track, I think I'll get a lot more top 10s this season and hoping for another podium for sure before the end of it.
Well, we can't wait to see how you're going to perform, Raymond, at those tracks and see how that setups are going to be a learning for you lesson and throughout the season if you could get faster from here on out. But before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
I got to thank Street Limit, my team. Without them, nothing like this would be possible. I got to thank the crew app. I got to thank Boost the North. I got to thank Walt at the Laughing Llama Wraps. Huge shout out on this last minute wrap for the car. I got to thank Doghouse, and I got to thank you guys for broadcasting as well. So,
well, thanks for giving us a great show to cover here tonight. Congratulations on third. Enjoy it, and we'll see you in 2 weeks at Iowa.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Well, that's going to be your third place finisher of the 38 of Raymond Handyman, who's going to be taking away a third, and I'm pretty happy about it. And I think you can be happy about it. Split up the teammates, stop the 1-2-3 finish, and instead it will just be a 1-2-4 finish for those drivers up front. But there were a lot of other drivers that were hoping for some good speed. We were hoping to talk to Joe McKnight in the 51, but sadly we were not able to queue him up. But wanted to give a huge kudos to that 51 machine as we get ready to look at our unofficial results, because it was one of our bigger movers of the night, up 26 positions from where he started, and actually will take the crown of our biggest mover here this evening. But the rest of the field, we got to say, Adam Gardner, what a run by the teammates. Twisted Axle got it done. Second place goes to Andrew St. Cour. Randy Handyman going to be in third place with Nicholas Atwood in fourth. Joe McKnight, biggest mover of the race from where he qualified, in fifth. Sixth goes to Hunter Simpson. Michael Hayes takes seventh. Eighth goes to the 99 of Jonathan Smith. Ninth goes to the 9 of Stephen Bonomo. And finishing out our top 10 goes to Leroy Koblitz in the 42 machine. But Zach, I know a lot of drivers threw out outside of our top 10. This was not the race that they expected to have.
Definitely not. For a few guys, they were not expecting what came out. And one of the ones that sticks out more to me, anything, is 20th is Jonathan Jennings, their defending champion. So we're going to have to see how he can rebound in 2 weeks when we go to some of the more normal style tracks. Man, it's going to be fun to see how that works out for sure for them. Had some guys like Kevin Thompson, who showed speed with the Twisted Axle group. Same with Gary Clune there in the 45 and 6, who get involved and end up 27th and 28th. So a bunch of fast cars, but unfortunately not all fast cars can make it to the checker flag like Adam Gardner did and get that checker flag, man. So they're going to have to wait a week here and get it all figured out when we come back in 2 weeks on Thursday night.
For some, this is maybe what they expected, but for others, it was not. But here's what our schedule is going to look like. Next week, going to be a little bit different, as we're going to be only having one race, and that is the start of a new season for the Monday night of the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. Season 6 begins Monday night. You do not want to miss out. That series we've been covering since their first season, and it's been awesome to see the growth of that league. I know a lot of drivers are excited because we have some past champion coming back. Vincent Sora back to claim and try to become the first two-time champion in that truck series. Or could we see someone else become the first? Or will we become the first two-time champion? Or will someone else grab their first ever championship? We are off Tuesdays because we're looking for a league that wants to get booked, but all the other nights we are booked as well. We will be having Wednesday night off and Thursday night off next week. We'll be back next week for both of those series. We're excited for it on how all these leagues have been coming together. But Zach, first official race of the season is done in the books, and it's Adam Gardner with the picture-perfect speed week for himself.
That it is, Sam. First off, congrats to the whole Twisted Axle team, because they really all worked really, really well together all night. And I mean, just seeing the guy on the screen, the 12, what really pushed really amazingly to get his teammate Adam Gardner in a great position. And all of them just really worked together well. And Adam Gardner, like I said, I don't think he could have had a better speed week. So let's just see how they can carry this momentum and try to build on that throughout these next few weeks. And we'll really get to see, you know, that pecking order, so to say, when we get to a few more of these tracks and see who's got those setups underneath them.
Who's willing to put the time and effort in, and how much time do you want to spend on just one race or for the 5 that will be starting up once we come back to racing here on Thursday nights, February 22nd. But if you haven't already, again, this is going to be your new home for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series on Thursday night. So remember to hit that subscribe button to make sure that you get and the bell notification to be notified when we are live on Thursdays for this series. But if you'd like to see other racing action, that's going to be our next race. It's going to be Monday night for the ISRC Truck Series, as they will have their season opener at Daytona. Plenty of Daytona for us to be giving you coverage for. But for this evening, for tonight, thank you so much to everyone that joined with us, everyone that commented. It was a pleasure to give you all of the amazing coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall and Robert Moyer Jr. in the background, and everyone else that works here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you so much for joining with us. Your Group 6 200 winner goes to Adam Gardner. Congratulations to that 56 team and everyone from that Twisted Axle team in general for showing perfect racing as teammates. But for tonight, thank you for joining with us for the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series. We will see you in 2 weeks at Iowa. But if you want to see more racing before then, it's Monday night, the start of a new season for the ISRC Truck Series. We'll see you then on our next Freaky Fast broadcast.